right, clap once if you can hear me. Thanks, guys. So today I'm going to share with you guys 7 steps to developing and sharing your vision in a way where people will listen to you and remember the things that you say and care about them. First, I want to share with you guys a little bit of my kind of intro into creating a vision for my team. Let's see if this works this time. Cool. So I think that the first step in finding a vision for your team and finding a vision that you can share with your team in your office is really finding yourself and knowing what it is that you yourself want. Your team is a reflection of you, and I think especially when you're a new recruiter and a new manager, that the people that you recruit will tend to be the people that are most easily tied into the things that you're saying anyway. And that is, you won't recruit everyone, you'll recruit other people like you, sort of, or you'll have things in common. And I know that when I first opened an office, my vision wasn't that strong, and some of the things that I wanted to do, we didn't accomplish. Our vision broke down because of that. Our vision was to be the absolute best office, which we were very far from the best office. I think I might have bit off a little bit more than I wanted to chew, but we had a lot of fun. This is my first office. These are pictures you probably can't really find anywhere. So this is Antonella and Diana Smith. They were with me for like the whole summer. Antonella was my #1 representative. It's our phone jam. There's someone throwing up gang signs in the back of my office. Yeah. I didn't really know what you should tell people to do and not do at that point. I was just like, let's go for it. Different people, different cultures, gang signs, whatever. And I think that maybe I was distracted from that idea. I was distracted from enforcing the values of my vision because my vision was really lacking. Being the #1 office or being #1 at something or hitting some sales goal is not a vision. And it's not something that you can share with people. And it's something that breaks down really easily. So there weren't really any standards to back that up. Because what do you do to be #1? Or you sell the most. But it has nothing to do with character. It has nothing to do with values. It has nothing to do with what really drives a team. We did have a lot of fun though. Here's us winning a trophy. Oh, gosh, I can't remember this guy's name. I know that he worked at Ocean's Prime. He was a dishwasher. Good dude. Steve Torrey actually stuck around with me even once I moved out to Delco. Also a good guy. Ibrahim, he goes to St. Joe's University. I've seen him a bunch of times. Good guy. It's a good group of folks here. So we managed to win a trophy despite our horrendous performance that summer because of a lack of vision and I think a lack of direction. Here's us at a phone jam. Our first summer, this was the FIFA World Cup. So, because of the diverse nature of Philadelphia, we had people that literally wouldn't come and phone unless we had FIFA on in the office. So that's what we did. We had FIFA in the office. It was a really good time. We had a lot of fun. We set up ridiculous numbers of demos. Here's us playing Mario Kart during a break from demos. The building that we moved into was sick. This is an amazing brownstone, like a huge mansion that had been converted into office spaces. So there was literally a full kitchen in the basement. So we would keep like a kitchen refrigerator filled with food, and during phone jams we would make bacon, and we set off the fire alarm one Sunday, which was kind of confusing because we didn't know how to turn it off. It's just an old building I ended up just opening this giant panel of random circuits and just pulling stuff out, which actually worked. So I don't know, I thought we might you don't want to have to pay for the fire department to come. I don't know what happens. I still don't know what happens when the fire department comes, to be honest. But who knew? We put the circuits back in, it was fine. This whole, my whole first summer was really a learning experience for me, not in the mechanics of the business, and not in, my own work ethic. Those things I think we did a great job at, but it was having that vision for where we were going in the future and making sure that it was something that I really wanted. I don't really think that if I wanted to be the #1 office, it was for the wrong reasons. Money or a reputation or something like that. I don't know. I honestly don't even remember that clearly, but the reality is that I learned a lot about myself through those times. And when we finally made a decision to move out to Delaware County, we still, we have people from Philly on our team and stuff, but when we made that decision to move out to Delaware County, I really struggled. For me, it was like giving up, I had that feeling of pride and resilience, and had it been a different time in our company's history, I probably would have insisted that they let me stay in Philadelphia because of that just pig-headedness and stubbornness that goes into doing some sorts of things. And these are the people that really guided me through these things. You know, Earl was the one who, you know, convinced me to do the right things and the things that would be best for myself. Elijah was the one who reminded me to stop being such a pussy all the time. John was the, Anthony, this picture was taken when Anthony Garber, you guys probably know Anthony now. Anthony literally had just moved onto our team. He had been working for a company called World Ventures, which is like a multi-level marketing company. And Anthony, not in the summer, in the fall, in October, like right now, decided to open up a district office with us. Anthony did his first training in his kitchen of his apartment and went on to be one of the best offices that year and one of the top 5 offices the next year, just knocking it out of the park. His energy really helped me a lot. People like David, and seeing these people rise up through the ranks, it was inspiring to me, and it made me realize that you know, with a certain level of talent comes a certain level of responsibility, and that I needed to find a way to mentally figure out what it is I wanted for my team. I needed to find a way to commit myself to putting in as much work as I had been putting in. I needed to find like a vision for myself, you know, a personal mantra and a story that would allow me to continue on. And this is us at SLC. We just went to an SLC. This is a good time. Ryan, great smile, right? And that was really my biggest hurdle to get over during this time. It wasn't getting really good at the interview. I was okay at the interview already. It wasn't getting better at training. It was, for me, finding a vision that would really guide me. Finding something that would really push me to get up in the morning every single day, to deliver to my team, to do the hardest things. You know, the things that some people tell themselves, I don't really want to do. I'm not good at doing those things. I'm good at doing things that I want to do. And I needed to find that vision for myself. What would make it? What story could I tell myself that would make me want to do everything that I needed to do, everything I knew I needed to do? And that's really what I found. You know, I found this personal vision for myself. My personal vision was that every day I would do everything that I could to find people that I was willing to commit 100% of my energy to their development. And I repeated that to myself all the time. At that point, I hated going on campus, I hated advertising, I hated running one-person interviews or one-person trainings, but then I just would remind myself that every day I would do everything that I can to find people that I was willing to commit 100% of my energy to their development. And that's what I think a good vision is about. It's something that you can tell yourself that, honestly, you don't even need to remind yourself all the time, because it just kind of sticks with you. A good vision for yourself is something that just stays. It's just there. You know, once you figure it out, once you get that clarity for yourself, it's just there and it drives you forward. And that's something that we're going to talk about today. I think that sometimes we rely too much on creativity, and we think that you might think that you need to feel inspired, that you need to have this perfect vision for what's going to go on in the future. But the reality is that you'll never reach that point of perfection. You don't need to wait for inspiration. What I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you 7 basic steps, a framework for you to create your own vision within. It doesn't need to be creative. It can be something really simple. That kind of vision should drive your team. Your team should know what it is that you want because of your vision. I would say step number 1 is to know that your vision needs to be about others. See, we don't really do things for ourselves. We don't need to do things for ourselves. We live in America. Everything that you actually need is already taken care of. Even if you come from the most disadvantaged background that there is out there, you're going to be fed, you're going to be sheltered, you're going to be clothed, you're going to have air, you're going to have food, water. Did I miss anything? I think you need those things to survive, and that's pretty much it. And you can be happy. What's that? Medication. Medications in some cases, right? We need some medication. You can get that for free in a lot of places too. But people survive for tens of thousands of years without those things, so I would imagine we'd be okay. Healthcare? Okay. I need air more than I need to go to the doctor, but I guess that could be concluded in there. But anyway, the idea is that like you're going to work hard for other people. You're going to work hard not just for yourself. I mean, for myself, I think about what it is that I really need. If I was just concerned with myself, and I know what I would do, I would build a cabin for myself somewhere in the woods, like where I could ski in the wintertime near a ski mountain, a lake in the summer, where I could continue to swim and maybe get better at sailing. And the reality is that those things, they only cost, what, 30 grand a year maybe to maintain that lifestyle? But of course, that's not the goal. It's not the goal for any of you. The goal is to do much more than that, and the reality is that you'll do more because of others. You'll work harder because of others. You won't work hard for the basic necessities, and that's why doing things for others is so important. Vision is about serving others. It's about other people. It's about doing things for other people. And the funny thing is that when you do things for other people, you never really have a bad day. When you're entirely focused on the success of others, you're not really thinking about what's going on in your life. When you make your life about helping other people develop, everything changes. You don't think about all the terrible things that are happening to you. You constantly just think about what you can do for other people. And what specifically should you be doing for other people? Well, one, I think that your vision can really fall into three categories of how you produce results for other people. That is personal growth, professional growth, and financial growth. You can categorize most things into there. You can put most things into personal, professional, or financial growth. But these are really the result areas that you need to focus on when you're thinking about what can I do for other people. And these are listed in this order for a reason, because people don't care as much about money as they think they do. And you might think you do right now, but the reality is that people don't work hard for money. That's not why they work hard. People don't spend endless nights, worrying about things and figuring things out for money. And maybe some people never have that level of passion in their life that they ever spend nights, unable to sleep because they're worried about what they're building and how they're doing it and their character and those sorts of things. But the reality is that for the people that reach those things, they don't do it for money. I mean, even in the most competitive places where you can go in the United States, like if you were to go into investment banking or something, investment banking salaries are pretty much nothing, especially considering that investment bankers live in places like Manhattan, and 55 grand a year after taxes is just not even enough to buy food. So why do people work so hard? They do it for others, they do it for some vision, for something else that's pushing them. Finances comes last. Helping people develop a skill set that can allow them to contribute back to the world in some way, that can allow them to become a better professional, that's second. And I think that serving others personally is the biggest thing. Being there for people, really listening to them, trying to understand them, I think that that's the biggest thing that you could do. Your vision should be about those things. We got 2 A's here. And as far as serving others goes, maybe it's not even about helping them help themselves, but maybe it's about helping them help their world and helping them help posterity. If you can show other people how to do great things for the future, generations of this world, or do great things for the world, I think that that's a vision that people will follow.
Do you mean posterity, like sitting on your butt?
No, of posterity I mean like future generations.
Yeah, I think that's a different word.
Is that a different word?
Yeah. No, it's the same word.
Same word.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ourselves and our posterity.
Posterity, right. Posterity means future generations. Language lessons. Quentin is very good at language. I'll rely on him.
I edited his blog.
So anyway, perceived benefit to the world and to posterity. If your vision helps people help the world, if your vision helps people help future generations, then it's something that people will want to follow. 2, be genuine. I think that this is a difficult one to really define, but I think that any vision has to genuinely come from your heart, and it has to be something that you genuinely and truly believe. You need to be the person that is the most bought into your own vision that you're sharing with other people. You can't share something that you don't truly believe yourself. If you don't truly believe in the vector opportunity, if you don't truly believe in the things that you're doing, if you're teaching things that you don't truly understand, then people just simply won't listen, and they can tell. Being genuine means that you don't just exist, you don't just say things, that you do them. Like when you're genuine, when you truly believe things, you follow through with actions all the time. Being genuine means that you have to be vulnerable, means that you have to discover things about yourself. I think this is super difficult as a new leader. All of you are new leaders, but I think that this is incredibly difficult because most of the things that you do through emulation. Even the habits and strategies that we use throughout our lives, regardless of who we are in this room, most of us are just a combination of emulating different people. And that's the reality that we live in. So I know that for me personally, leadership had always meant emulating a lot of the leaders that I looked up to. And I don't think that that's something worth stressing out about. I don't think you need to worry about being unoriginal, because nothing is really unoriginal, or nothing is really truly original. Everything is just built off of things before it. Everything that we do. I remember as a young graduate student sitting in front of this guy named Professor Musashi Watanabe, and he's an expert in electron microscopy. He's an incredible dude. I remember this presentation at the beginning of my PhD where he showed us this circle, and it was just a slide of like a circle, and he was like, this is all the knowledge of mankind. And then it kept zooming in to like a little edge of the circle, and he's like, and you work for years as a PhD student, and then after an average of 5.5 years, you add a little, almost insignificant bump to this giant circle of knowledge. And it takes years and years to do something that is significant and different that other people can use. So expecting yourself to come up with something that's unique and different in a matter of weeks or months when you need to lead people, when you have responsibilities, is ridiculous. You don't need to look to yourself to find something unique. Sometimes you can just look to others and wait to see what resonates with you. And that's a great way to find your vision. That was terrifying idea for me at that time, is working for 5.5 years to finally come up with something unique and useful. But I think that that's true in everything that we do. I think that as leaders, and even most of the stuff in this talk and the talks that you hear today is stuff that's just been emulated from people before then. And because of that, you can share the same visions with other people. I think that an important thing in that emulation, though, is realizing that when you find something that you truly care about, you don't need to repeat it to yourself. In my time here, I've seen sales reps and managers do things like put their mantras on their ceiling, so it's the first thing that they see when they wake up in the morning, or put it on the dash of their car so they see it when they're driving to the office or driving to a demo. And I think that those things are great, but I really believe that when you find something that you truly care about, when you find a vision, an idea for the future that truly means something to you, that you don't need to continuously repeat it to yourself, that it just changes you, that you instantly know what needs to happen. I think that in any vision, before sharing it with other people, clarity and simplicity are absolutely necessary. I think that you should be able to, 10 minutes already, goodness. I think that you should be able to share your vision in a matter of seconds. I think that it should be absolutely 100% clear. We were just in an event called SLC. It's the giant manager event that the company runs for all district managers and above. And at this event, I remember hearing Brian Hurlman say, my vision is to create the best leaders in the United States. That's simple. It's easy to understand. And that's what he's focused on doing. Not something that's realistic, but something that's unrealistic and incredibly difficult. That it requires incredible growth and character from him. But that's his vision, and that's what drives him. It's simple, it's one sentence, and every single person in this room can understand it really easily. And I think that most of the things that stick with you are things that are incredibly simple. Things like phone from the office and win the yacht, which is incredibly simple. And you'll remember that phrase for the rest of your life, and you know exactly what it means, and it incites all these emotions and excitement. You know what a yacht is, you know what a phone call is, and you know what a group of people phoning together to win the yacht is, and it feels good. But that's a vision, and it's something that's simple. And in regards to management, it's other things like setting 5 PRs a day is so simple. Seven assistant managers on staff is so simple. 5 before and 5 after is something that other offices use. They say you set five demos before each demo, and 5, or you make 5 phone calls before each demo and 5 after. These things are so simple, and that's what makes them powerful. Simplicity rules this organization because simplicity sticks. You remember it because it's easy to remember. Perfecting a vision and creating that clarity is about working endlessly at that vision as well. It's about being willing to reevaluate it and continuously create greater simplicity, create greater clarity for yourself. It takes constant work and constant communication of your vision to other people to do that. The 4th step in creating a powerful vision and selling that vision to others and having people follow through with that vision is this. At this point, you've got a lot of clarity, but you have to sell your key influencers ahead of time. On every single team, when you're leading that team, you aren't the only leader. There are other people influencing that team. There are other people saying things that influence that team. As a leader, this might be one of the most difficult things to grasp initially, because what happens when you pour your heart and soul out to a group of people and then someone says something that causes the group to just not follow through? You can have people just absolutely kill things. And I think the key here is that you need to identify who the key influencers are around you and make sure that you discuss your vision with them ahead of time. They should be bought in. You should have meetings ahead of time. If you're running your own office, you should have meetings with your assistant managers ahead of time about what it is you're going to talk about that week, where you're headed, so that they're bought in, so that they support that vision. So that way, after you give a talk in public, random people don't say, hey, you know that event? I don't think I'm going to go. And then nobody shows up, and you're like, what happened? It's because you didn't prepare the other leaders on your team ahead of time. They weren't bought in. They didn't know what was going to happen. If your influencers are involved in the conversation of what your vision is going to be, if they're bought in, if they care about what you're talking about, then those people are going to support what you're saying, and because of that, it'll make your vision for your team even more powerful. Because now it's not just you at the front of the line, it's other people following in behind you. It's other people that back up what you say and they back it up with action. And when they do that, you create giant movements of people that accomplish great things. These conversations need to happen ahead of time so you're in control of the conversation that happens after you present your vision to the public, after you make it public. I want to talk about a great book. I'm reading a book right now called Made to Stick, which is just absolutely fantastic. And it has to do with developing messages that really stick. Developing messages that allow people to remember things, and it's a book that I recommend for sure. I'm only about halfway through, so I've got some ways to go. But there are key components here, and one of the things that I love about the beginning of this book is they talk about how there are frameworks for everything that you want to accomplish. Like if you want to be creative, there's a framework to work within. You don't need to there doesn't need to be some sort of divine inspiration for you to come up with the things that are meaningful and that resonate with the world. And they have some simple principles for developing a message that sticks. That is, you tell people one time and they remember, they feel it. So, simplicity is one, we already talked about simplicity, but two is unexpectedness. It's startling people. Sometimes when you share stories, when you share ideas, they should be startling. They should get people to move around in their seats a little bit. Sometimes maybe even make them stand up. That unexpectedness is something that allows people's brains to be shocked. And when people's brains are in shock, they're easily influenced. They're just kind of like a blank slate, right? And they hear the other things that you're saying. Unexpectedness brings in focus. And it creates an ability for you to really deliver your message. Shock and awe a little bit when you deliver a message. Concreteness. Concreteness means like, is your message something that is tangible, simple and clear? Something that you could touch? Are action steps clear? Even just something as simple as build the best leaders in America. There are things that come along with that are very concrete. Like, for example, you must first make yourself a great leader then, right? You must teach yourself those principles of great leadership and live out that leadership. There's something concrete there. We all get a sense for what good character is. We know what good values are. We know what doing the right thing is. We know what leadership is. Concreteness is important. Credibility. I think that sometimes we're trying to inspire the masses, but there's a reality is that you can't really have credibility without first having produced yourself. Sometimes we just need to focus on production before we focus on building something huge. I think that there are plenty of people that we look at and we think to ourselves, that person could never be a great leader, but then they just produce. Production comes from hard work, it comes from a grind. And if you produce, then you have credibility. If you have results, then you have credibility. For me personally, I think credibility is the number one reason to produce results. It gives you a chance to tell other people how you feel. It gives you a chance to stand at the front of the room and talk yourself. Production makes you a leader and an influencer. There are people in this room that, a year ago, some of you would have said they could never possibly be decent leaders. But because they produce, people follow them. Production matters. Production gives you credibility. You have to produce results. Eliciting emotions is one of their keys to developing a message that sticks. So for example, for some of you, you've started running interviews. For some of you, you've run a ton of interviews. If you don't feel real emotions in those interviews, then you're not doing it right. If you don't deliver, if your intro talk doesn't make you feel real emotions in training, you're not doing it right. If when you talk about building the team, you don't feel real things, you're not doing it right. Emotions start with you. You have to feel that level of, excitement, caring, compassion, energy. Something has to be there for other people to feel those emotions. When you're talking about the team that you're building, when you're sharing your vision, there needs to be an emotional response. Facts and logic don't create action. Not at all. They do almost nothing. In fact, we can count on innumerable things that we do that literally are illogical and don't make any sense. We're self-destructive as human beings. We do things like alcohol and tobacco products, and some people even play the lottery. What is that? Why? Why does it even exist? It doesn't make any sense. We all know that your chances of winning are almost none. In fact, you're more likely to just find the money on the street. You could spend more time walking around on the street. But we still play, just basically giving money away. It doesn't make any sense. And we do it because it's emotional, because there's a chance, right? Because you scratch off that ticket or whatever, you watch those balls come through that thing. I don't even know what those things are called. And then you're like, maybe I'll win. And you know you're not going to win, but maybe you'll win, right? And there's an emotional response in a moment there. Because of that, you do it. And it makes no sense. But we do it because it creates an emotion. If your vision creates an emotion, people will take action. Even if it doesn't quite make sense yet. Even if you're beyond that. And stories. The reality is that human beings learn and exist through narrative. We remember things because of stories and because of narrative. We don't remember little sheets of facts that we're given unless we spend all night trying to memorize them before an exam. We remember stories. We remember things that happened in our own lives better than we remember random facts that people told us. That's why you learn so well by doing. And stories, when you create narrative, when you tell people a story of what you've done and what's happened in the past, it allows them to experience them as well, cathartically. And when they experience the same things that you've experienced because of the story that you're telling, they remember. They remember what you told them. So in Made to Stick, they call these successes, right? Almost intentionally. A successful vision has successes inside of it. Simplicity, unexpectedness, concreteness, credibility, emotions, and stories. It's cute, right? Yeah. I liked it as well. I think it takes a lot of effort. I think it takes a lot of effort to develop that message, but I think the development of a high quality message that you deliver your vision to is something that will allow you to lead other people. These things are more important than you realize, you see, because I know from my first summer, I know from my first year as a district manager that my ability, my intelligence, my work ethic, those things were on point. But this is what I lacked. I lacked this vision. And because of that, we didn't do that well. We could have done much better. And we had a lot of potential, but we didn't realize it because of a lack of vision and a lack of direction that I failed to provide for myself and for the people around me. The sixth step is deliver your message. And then deliver your message some more. And then continue to deliver your message. When you've created a vision about other people that you know helps them achieve the things they want to achieve and better the world, you would have to be crazy to not constantly want to deliver that message. And I don't care where you work and who you are and what you're doing, you as a leader have a responsibility to add value to other people. And if you do that effectively, then you should never stop delivering your message. You should never stop trying to influence people. You should say it over and over and over again. You should share the things that you want to share with the world. Nothing should stop you. No one should prevent you. In every meeting, in every presentation, every PDI call, every personal consultation, every presentation that you give, every conversation that you have, every dinner that you eat, you should share your message because your message matters. Right? This is the sixth step. You've created your vision and now it's time to share it with the entire world. And the last step, step number 7, is fight for your vision. Your vision probably comes along, your vision probably has certain values and character traits that are necessary in order to make your vision a reality. It has certain steps that are necessary, and you should not let anyone get in the way of that vision. You should not let anyone stop you. You should not allow behavior to happen in your office, which I'm guilty of all the time. We allow people to break our standards, to let other people down, to let themselves down. The harder you fight for your vision, the more you will accomplish. The greater the things you will build. The more the people around you will be inspired. You have to stick to your standards. When you know something needs to be done, you need to be hard and committed to those things. You also need to be harder on yourself than you are on other people. And that is that you need to hold yourself to the same standards for your vision that you hold other people to. And not just hold yourself to those standards, but you need to be harder on yourself when you fail to meet those standards. You need to be publicly harder. When other people mess up, you don't criticize them in public, but you need to criticize yourself in public. When you do things wrong, you need to admit it to other people. And publicly, you embarrass yourself a little bit. And you need to commit and recommit yourself and allow other people to recommit all the time. I think that anything worth building is worth fighting for. I think that's universally true. That it's never easy. That any great thing that you want to accomplish requires people getting in your way, it requires adversity, and it requires all kinds of bad things happening. There are plenty of people that will never encounter any significant adversity. Maybe they'll play lots of video games. They won't encounter lots of adversity. the more adversity you encounter, the more you have to fight for your vision, probably the more meaningful it is. The more people that get in your way, the more things that you have to stop and overcome, the more worthwhile it is to do. You need to fight for your vision, you need to fight hard. So when we go through all these things, make your message about others, right? Be genuine. Gain absolute clarity and keep it simple. Sell your key influencers ahead of time. Develop your message. Deliver your message over and over again and fight for your vision. I think that if you remember all of those 7 steps, that you will have something that other people will follow. And it doesn't end. There never comes a point where you share your vision and it just clicks and you never have to do it again. It only becomes harder. The bigger the organization gets, the more people you want to influence, the harder it becomes. But that's the fun part, isn't it? Because it wouldn't be worth doing if it wasn't hard. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.